Hey, my friends, this is Rinehart, and I am doing a video blog and audio blog. It's March 17, which means that is my birthday, and I turned 24 today. And so today I've been reflecting on things that I learned from my age 23 year and what was going on in my life, and I condensed it down into 5 simple things that I learned from this year. And so the goal is to not only help you guys, help anybody that's listening, but also to remind myself as I continue to walk this path in the future and potentially fall into some similar problems as I go. So this is as much as documenting it for myself as it is for any other listener out there. And so the first thing that I thought of is the need to prioritize your health. Um, I I really neglected this last year as I got further into piano um, and just taking on more obligations, more teaching recitals and things. I really let my health slip. I always generally have had low energy and poor health, but when I discontinued weightlifting at the end of July and August, I really noticed that there was an increased amount of stress increased amount of stress and anxiety that occurred and um, permeated all the way up until January when I went on a long meditation retreat. And I realized the combination of not working out, as well as one of the even bigger kickers is drinking a lot of coffee for me. For me, I am super sensitive to coffee, and it really messes with my psyche and my just simple physical symptoms like jitteriness, muscle spasms, frequent urination, blood sugar swings. All of these things really just kind of messed up my system. And so in this year, I really want to prioritize my health as I'm going into my 24-year-old year. And because if you can get your energy right, if you can get your physiology right, everything else will fall into place. Your productivity in business and work, your relationships will improve, your anxiety will improve. Everything is just better with good health and when your body's feeling good. So that's the first thing I that I want to talk about. The second thing is that I had to learn the hard way is don't work or associate yourself with people you don't like if you can control. So I had one colleague who I was working with, actually. So one colleague that I was gigging with at a restaurant, and our personalities just didn't mesh, and he was very unsympathetic to these problems that I was going through in my life, or if I had a bad day, he would be completely unsympathetic, and it just like wasn't enjoyable to do this gig at all, and I wasn't even getting paid for it very well. And so like I was really questioning like why the hell am I doing this? And after about a month or two of being miserable is when I finally just pulled the plug and said this isn't worth it. There's another case. I was playing for a retirement home here in Napa, and originally the management there was great, and I had been volunteering for them for like a year at the point, and they recommended they pay me, and I I was pretty excited for that, and So they set me up to get paid, and then the management quit, or they changed jobs, and so they brought in some new management, and these people were just fucking difficult to work with. Um, they just made a fuss about every little thing and caused a lot of mental stress for me, and made my experience playing for the retirement home, which had been previously a very enjoyable experience, completely jaded, and made me really dread going there because I had to deal with these couple people who didn't really value me. They weren't willing to pay charge for any private performance. Um, and so I was kind of biting my lip because I had started as a volunteer. And so I was like, and I still wanted to be of service. But at the same time, these people made it so difficult. So in February, they actually let me go, which I'm pretty glad that I didn't have to be the one that quit, because it was just a dreadful experience being around them. And then the last thing in that not working with people you don't like is I had a piano teacher, and every time I left this teacher's lesson, I felt absolutely horrible. And I studied with him for maybe like 6 months or so, and started out pretty good. And I definitely got better. I'm not saying that I didn't get better, but if I'm paying $120 for an hour of private instruction, I would hope that I sort of enjoy the experience to some extent. And it also taught me that when you're teaching, and I'm a teacher myself, when you are teaching, you really have to be sensitive to the other person's emotional state and what they're going through in their life. And then also, like, you can't just criticize them for every single negative thing that they're doing, because our brains are naturally going to gravitate towards this negativity bias. And if you're only pointing out every single thing that they're doing wrong and never praising anything that they're improving on, or that is good about their playing, um, you're gonna make them feel like shit. And this guy made me feel horrible, made me really dread the piano. And it wasn't until I finally just completely eradicated him from my life that um, I slowly began to recover my sense of self-worth and self-confidence in piano. So um, I'm going to be much more sensitive with the people that I let into my head and let instruct me, because um, just because I don't feel like working with somebody that's going to be that challenging, no matter how much pay it is. Um, well, uh, to some extent. Anyway, so um, the third thing is that I this was something that I already kind of knew, but I got more invested in. Is the third is you should meet people through your communities. I can't tell you how many people I have last year that have been some of my best friends because I met them through my piano meetup, or I met them through a meditation group, or a yoga group, or something that we have a shared interest in. And for some reason, at least this is just for me, is that I tend to always enjoy the person's presence way more when we meet through this shared experience, and we already have a lot in common. And so some of my best friends in this past year have come from these communities, and my relationships have really grown from developing friendships through community, um, which in turn has really actually helped with my business and my piano playing or piano success or whatever. So all of my communities, my yoga community and my meditation community, I'd invite them to my piano recitals. I had a total of 3 last year, but one was in February of 2016. So that was when I was 22, not 23. But I provided a service that was hopefully enjoyable. I mean, they appreciated it, and I sort of created a sense of community by holding this concert and allowing an intermission and allowing people to meet each other and um, educating the audience on the classical music that I was interested in, and just kind of share my own experience. And I got rewarded for it. I think I got like $500 in donations from each, which I'm really grateful for. That's awesome. And so it was a great feeling to not only make money, but also provide community and provide service. So the fourth one that I wrote down is, you know more than you think. So this pertains to being a teacher of something. Derek Sivers always, he said this once, and he said, start teaching something before you forget what it is like not to know it. And so that piece of advice came to me around year, and that's when I began teaching piano. And note that I had only been taking formal lessons for like 8 months or something, and I'm by no means a master at piano. But that doesn't mean, I think, that I can't provide some level of value to kids. And as it's like you build the car as you're driving down the highway at 85 miles per hour. It's like that's when progress happens, is when you have this momentum. And so it's kind of funny because I go to this piano meetup, this amateur piano meetup, and not a single one of these people has made money out of their playing or taught or anything. And these people are like years ahead of me. And so if I can do it, they sure as hell can do it. And so I really think that like you're going to figure out your competencies maybe at teaching, or even if it's a skill, just start. Whether this is video blogging, I'm terrible at talking into a camera. So this is probably one of the first video blogs that I've done, actually. So I just know that I'm going to kind of suck at the beginning, and just be willing to learn and try and provide value and give it my 100% energy. And then, so finally, the fifth one that I want to talk about is making time for friends and family. So I got in this habit about six months into 2016, or 6 to 8 months, July to September, where so I would be piano teaching during the week. I'd also be helping my mom doing pet sitting, and then I'd also be tutoring, and so I'd tutor sometimes on Saturdays and sometimes on Sundays, and then I was playing at the retirement home on Sundays, and I started scheduling 7 days a week, and having no boundaries for personal and professional life. And I realized I was getting burned out because I wasn't giving myself a break at all. And so I decided that I would have Saturday be a dedicated free day. It didn't matter if I had nothing to do, but I didn't want to have any obligation whatsoever. And I wanted to have a completely open day to recover and get into fun. And um, that's part of this. But the thing that I wrote down is making time for your friends and your family. So in that, I totally reserved Saturdays for fun and relaxation and no obligations whatsoever. And so I think that is really important to prevent burnout. And then talk about is with that is I just got back from I spent a week in San Diego. I went to the High Performance Academy, Brendan Burchard, Charged Life, all that jazz, and had a great time. I took my girlfriend Camille, and then I spent a week in Hawaii, and having that time to do absolutely with my girlfriend, like, just brings me much closer to her. And so I really want to be able to times throughout the year to be able to spend time with my mom and my brother and my sister, dad, girlfriend. And I really need to like protect it, because people are going to try and insert their agendas and get you to try and take on more things than you can chew. And so for me, really important to really schedule that and get that in the calendar, or ward it off, like my Saturday, how I just don't schedule anything on Saturday. It doesn't matter if I have anything to do or not. Like, the only way I'd schedule it is if it's like a really big paying gig. But other than that, like, I'm not going to just do a simple job that I could do during the week. So those are my 5 things that I learned as a 23-year-old. If you're listening to this as a older person, be grateful and look back at your early 20s and realize how much of a struggle it is. And if you're younger, hopefully you can take some of these lessons that I had to learn the hard way, because this last year was probably my first year in the real world as like a business person of some sort. And so I had to like do a lot of trial and error. And so if you can learn from my own experience, you're going to be well off. Take care. Enjoy March 26th. And signing off, this is Eric Rinehart. Okay. Bye-bye.